Hi, Nick.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Are you delighting in Bill's
Excuse me.
wonder so far?
So far, yeah, I was explaining. I have Ghostbusters playing in the background, and we were talking about Ghostbusters 3, and so I was kind of catching him up and giving him an education on how nerdy I actually am.
Hey, we only have so much time.
Right?
Yeah. I'm glad we're keeping this focused on Nick.
Yeah,
It's all
there's
about me.
No,
There's
but
no nerdiness outside of Nick.
That's right. Absolutely.
I'm feeling a little bit more normal today.
Good. Well, you're surrounded by nerds. That's why.
Nah,
Exactly.
I know better.
So, Bill, I am recording already. That's something that I tend to do as I just hit record. But before we actually get started, do you have any questions for us? Anything that we can help you alleviate any nervousness you might have? Anything like that?
No, I think I'm okay. I'm a little worried about John because he tends to take hidden video and share it at weird times. But other than that, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Okay.
When you say
All
hidden
right.
video,
That sounds
Bill,
good.
perhaps you'd like to expand upon that.
Well, it's interesting timing of the year because August, and Nick, I don't know if you know this, but in Detroit, there's a really great classic car event called the Woodward Dream Cruise. It's
I don't.
okay. So third weekend in August, I think it started in 1995 as a way to celebrate classic cars, hot rods. Woodward Avenue was back in the 50s and 60s and a little bit of the 70s was a big drag strip. I mean, it was, you go out there on a Saturday night and you run the lights, pink slips, the whole thing. And somebody put it together, pretty much headquartered in Royal Oak, Michigan, but they've celebrated this thing every year for what, I can't do the math, but it's been a lot of years, and it brings about 1 million people to the area, and it's expanded from the Saturday cruise to almost a week-long event. And John, I think it was like 3 years ago, we went out there. You were in town. We were doing some one of our events that John was part of and I was part of, and I had a 72 Chevy pickup at the time. And John, I think you were with Glenn, were you not?
I was in his awesome Corvette.
Of course, his awesome Corvette. And I may have been, as John drove next to me, I may have been giving him a gesture that he caught on video.
I wonder what that gesture might be.
I think it was, please pull ahead.
Oh, okay.
You were definitely pointing, but I recall it to be pointing upward.
Well, okay, well, I thought it was, I wanted you to take the first position.
Yes, well, we certainly did. And the good part is, Bill has to admit that because, indeed, I still have the video.
Wonderful.
Nice. Is that something we're going to be posting on any of our PoddiMouths?
Maybe we'll do a screen capture of it.
Nice.
So he knows I have it, but the audio could be incriminating.
Oh my goodness.
It is one of my favorite memories of my friend Bill Taylor. So one that I will always cherish.
Well, even if we
Wonderful.
don't get to post it, I still want to see the video.
I think you can talk me into that probably, Nick. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure Bill
Well, that's
would
good.
allow it. Not that it really matters.
Oh yeah. Look, I have no boundaries. I just, I live to live, and you just have to enjoy life. And, if you make a mistake, pay the price and move on.
I love it. So, Bill, you live in Detroit?
I do, or in a suburb of Detroit.
All right. And for those, we do have quite a few listeners that listen to Detroit. Can you kind of tell us what part, or if you're holding up your hand right now, what part of Detroit? I guess that doesn't work for just Detroit, but that's
No,
the
it
Michigan
doesn't.
thing.
No, because when Bill does his normal hand gesture, it doesn't look anything like Michigan.
Right.
Maybe the Upper Peninsula.
Okay. Or at least you're pointing to Charlevoix or something.
Yeah, maybe that's it. So Nick, I am about 25 miles northwest of Detroit in a town called Farmington Hills.
Farmington Hills. And what is Farmington Hills famous for?
Bill Taylor.
That was pretty quick.
Apparently, that was very quick. I like that a lot.
No, it was a farming community way back when. Ironically, my grandfather moved out here in 1948. He was working for one of the utilities downtown Detroit, and that's when the sprawl to the suburbs was starting to take place. And he was a really crafty guy. He was a CFO, so he was a financial guy, but he made sure the house he had a 2-acre front yard because it was his belief. Now, this was 1948. It was his belief that people were going to commute downtown via helicopter. And so he
Interesting.
wanted to have a large enough plot of land to land the helicopter. It never happened, but he was prepared.
That's great. Well, back in the late 40s, that was definitely a possibility. There are some now, not necessarily helicopters, but there are some airplanes that were developed at that time for commuters. The Air Coupe being one of them. It's a little two-seater that is has a very short landing range and was made for people to literally fly it and pull it up into their garage at home. And there are a few others that were made that way. So
Interesting.
that makes perfect sense.
Wow, Nick,
So,
you are a
so
veritable fountain of information.
yeah,
Useless
some
information.
information. So
Right.
I have to go back to Nick for a second because did you really just say possibilities?
Not that I know of, but
Oh,
John, so we need to, Bill, and I apologize. I am getting over a summer cold right now. And I called John the other day and I said, maybe we should push back everything because I sound really, really funny right now with a stuffed up nose. And John's like, no, this would be the best time to do a podcast. So that's why I have to apologize to the listeners and I have to apologize to Bill. I am very stuffed up right now and I'm doing the best I can to have a normal voice while I talk. So that I did not say that, but that might have been what came out of my mouth.
So I think you have taken to saying certain things just if I'll pay attention or not. And so whether there was
that's
whether there was
given.
a snot bubble coming out at the time or not, I can't swear, but I will say that it sounded like possibilities, which is something I'm going to say quite often from now on.
Oh, please do. Please do. I'm going to use it too. I actually really like that word. It's a poddyism.
I thought it was just one that you were going to say. I'm going to see if Bill or John say anything when I say possibilities.
We're in the honeymoon stage right now, so I'm not going to be picky like that.
Yeah.
That comes soon. It comes sooner than later, Bill. It really does.
Take long.
Well, after I think, what did you guys come up with? PoddiDusting?
That was Nick.
Yeah, that was a John.
Yeah,
a John thing. No, it was a John thing.
After that, nothing really compares.
That's true.
I think Nick's. I described it, but I think Nick named it. And for those of you who missed that episode,
Nice.
It was simply
it was crop dusting, but with a potty bend.
Who don't know what crop dusting is.
Oh, I think everybody knows, John.
Okay, that's fine. Then we don't have to go into any more detail. Crop dusting if you don't have plants in your pants. I like when that all works out.
Wow.
You're welcome. Then return to potty dusting.
That's good.
And what locale does that work best in? Is it airplanes?
Airplanes, yeah. Pressurized tubes. It's awesome there.
So awesome. I can see Miss Lowe commenting on Facebook about this one again.
She's awesome because she's commenting on everything. I like Candace. She's snarky.
Well,
so Nick, well, I'm sure John shared with you that I'm a pretty big fan of you too, and as I've listened, I've often wondered how is it you guys get off tangent so easily, and I've just demonstrated how easy it is to push that button.
Well, it's nice to know you're learning, and I appreciate that. No, John hasn't said that, and he probably wants to keep it to himself and not tell me because he knows that I already have a big head. He doesn't want it getting any bigger. My earphones won't fit anymore. But Bill,
inexplicably he is a big fan.
Well, and I think that's great. And Bill, John has talked to you about you quite a bit, and I was very much looking forward to getting the opportunity to chat and learn a little bit more about some of your hobbies because I hear you've got a pretty major one. We already started talking about it at the very beginning, but of course we got off on a tangent.
You did get off on a tangent.
So restoration, Bill, talk about because right now, I mean, as we speak, unless you have recently engaged in some sort of a sale, then you still are selling a 1976 GMC pickup that you restored. Is that correct?
I am. Yeah, and I think you may be giving me a little bit more credit than that. I like to partially restore vehicles. I like to find these older, lower cost classics is what I like to call them, or
LCCs.
attainable vehicles. Uh, see, you know what? Here, let me write that one down. And I like to finish people's projects, and then once I'm done with it, I kind of get bored and I end up selling it and moving on to the next one. So yeah, I did. It was actually about this time last year I found this '76 GMC pickup in Flint, Michigan. You probably heard of Flint, and probably not a positive light, but it was a farmer's truck, and he drove it like 3 months out of the year. He actually ordered it in '76, and it passed through the family, and I ended up buying it, and it only has 31,000 miles on it, so it spent a lot of time going up and down this dirt road. And then he parked it in the winter when he went to Florida.
And I can totally see it, Bill, as a farm truck, just because of the options that are and are not on it. I mean, he certainly didn't pretty it up too much necessarily. But
no,
what
he did not.
is particularly interesting to me, as someone who knows what they are and has driven one, even some before I had my license, is the 3-in-the-tree transmission. Talk about that a little bit, because does that, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it may perhaps minimize your potential buyer base.
Yes, but of course I'm marketing it in such a way that makes it highly desirable as an anti-theft device.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so yeah, this, it's interesting. I learned to drive a stick on a truck almost identical to this. My dad was an engineer for the company that made those vehicles, and I grew up in a car household, and so there's kind of a special memory of that truck for me. But it is it's fun to drive. It's very simple, and it's a straight 6-cylinder. Like John said, no options. That means there's no power steering, no power brakes, no radio, no air conditioning. It's just a good, honest truck. And it's, think of a 3-speed manual transmission and that shift pattern as it's on the floor of a car, but moved up to the steering column, like an automatic transmission shifter would be. And if I hadn't put this special shift knob on it, most people would go to pull on that and think, what is wrong with this thing? But it's a fun truck to drive around. I use it as kind of a shop truck, to pick up other supplies and things like that. But it's a pretty nice truck. And yes, it is still for sale, John.
So, and that's good. And
what color is it?
The color name is buckskin tan. So you can probably envision what that would look like.
So yeah. Bill says it's still for sale. We're going to invent one more term called potty commission.
Potty mission.
Oh, this is complicated.
Sure.
We navigate very fine twists and turns within our conversations.
As he knows.
We do. So Nick, you'll appreciate this because I've listened and I understand what type of vehicle you like. But my first entrance into this kind of world of partial restoration of vehicles started with a Jeep Wrangler.
Okay. What year? What model?
Well, it was an '89 Jeep Wrangler, so that's the YJ.
Right.
And at the time, I was living in Franklin, Tennessee.
Okay.
So I bought it
down here.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's Madison, Tennessee. It's kind of northwest of Nashville. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep. I actually used to teach at a school that was located in Madison.
Okay. Well, so I found it up there, had it for about a year, played around with it, did my little fix-up while I lived in Franklin, and then I got relocated to Michigan, company relocation, and I put up for sale as a Southern truck and sold it, made a lot of money off of it. So it's pretty cool.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. My first experience with Jeep was a 1978 CJ7.
Oh yeah.
That a friend of mine had. It was actually his dad's, but we used to hop in and drive it around when we weren't supposed to, because it didn't have keys. The key broke off in the ignition, so you just used a screwdriver to turn it on. And yeah, so it was, and it always had the top off, so it was kind of ratted out, but it was fantastic.
Perfect.
Jeep.
Perfect. Well,
but it was a Minnesota Jeep, so no one would probably want to buy that.
The guy's daughter always had her top off.
Oh my goodness!
Wow, John.
Wow, John.
No, on the Jeep. Come on, Nick, get your head out of the gutter.
John, our mutual friend Glenn, and I'll save the last name. makes that comment all the time with his Corvette, and just picturing Glenn without his top on makes me a little ill.
I'm going to totally just back away from this and pretend I don't know who Glenn is, because you, sir, are in trouble for that comment.
Yes. Well,
is Glenn a fan too? Do we know if Glenn's a fan?
He has not listened to it, but he has heard me tell the stories. So in a sense, yes.
That could be just as dangerous, if not a little bit more.
The Glenn I know has a very chiseled chest and is very powerful. So I can't imagine who we're talking about, Bill.
I don't know, but I'm going to have a hearty laugh over that one.
Nicely done, sir.
So I'm gonna pump you guys up a little bit. So buckle in.
Well, before you go, can I want to go back to the truck really fast, just really fast. So my dad and I'm pretty sure you know that I'm a lot younger than John. I mean, John is ancient compared to me. But my dad, when I was growing up, we've talked about in the past, my mom and dad were divorced very early. So my earliest memory, though, of going to visit my dad at his farm is he would come and pick me up in his 1978 blue Chevy pickup. Ooh. And to this day, that was one of my favorite experiences. Now, I've never driven the truck, but I remember looking out over the hood. I remember going down, for anyone who's listening in Minnesota, the old Hinckley Road, which at the time in the 80s was very hilly and very bumpy. And when I say hilly, I'm not talking Tennessee hills. I'm talking Minnesota hills. So they're very small. And it was like riding a roller coaster. And I remember just going up and over those things and getting that butterfly feeling in your stomach, like you were going over the top. Oh, it was great. And that was one of my favorite trucks and favorite experiences. And it was
Bill, the
worst day was when he sold that truck.
You have a prospect for your 1976 GMC, Bill.
Yeah, maybe. I might need to share the link with.
Absolutely. And you know what? Here's the thing, though. I've been around him, but I have never ever driven a manual transmission with the shifter on the.
Bill will include lessons.
Awesome. There we go. Send me the link.
I will.
I'm all over.
I will for you, Nick. I don't want that to be a widespread thing, John.
No. I think actually you should do that, Bill. Maybe teach him how to drive it on Woodward Avenue. Because I know the gesture. I don't know use if he doesn't do well.
Yeah. Okay. Now we have come full circle. Thanks, John.
We do that sometimes.
We have. All right. I'm ready to get a big head, Bill. Go on.
Yeah. So I never listened to podcasts before I listened to PoddiMouths. I had learned through John that you guys were doing this, and it just never wasn't my thing. And so I sampled it, and I really enjoyed the conversation. And I like to take walks in the morning, so I always wait for Tuesday mornings to come along, and I listen to PoddiMouths, and I'm laughing, and I feel like I want to jump in on the conversations because they're, it's kind of like the conversations I would love to have. And people are walking past me or driving down the street as they see me, wondering, why is this guy laughing to himself?
I get that funny look from my wife when I'm editing. If I'm sitting on the couch next to her and I have my headphones on, she's just looking at me because all I'm doing is giggling the entire time. So I can relate.
So you guys have done a great job.
Well, thank you.
I've searched out other ones that are, try to be similar to what you do, and there's no equal. So you guys have done a great job. I hope that you've got a lot more listeners than you seem to let on, but I think you've done a great job, and you should keep going.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm speechless now.
Yeah. Okay. Then let me take over the show.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, we're changing the name to
hosted by
Billy
Bill.
Mouths. It's Billy Mouths.
Billy Mouths.
Oh my goodness.
I like that. That actually sounds.
I do too.
So thank you, Bill. First of all, that's very kind of you, and I know you've been what we fondly refer to as a fan for a long time. So, and you and I have been friends for even much longer. So I'm quite delighted about both of those things. So thank you. Talking about your dad, Nick, with the truck. My dad worked for Wisconsin Power and Light many years before he passed away, and he was a local rep, and it was his company truck. And occasionally, and I can say this now because he's been gone for 50 years or something like that, I would drive his truck when I was maybe 13 or 14 years old, and he had 3-in-the-tree transmission. So that's probably how I learned to drive, especially the 3-in-the-tree. It kind of was that.
Learn by fire.
So to this day, I can do it. No.
So
to this day. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, good. So it's not 3-in-the-tree, but the way my mom learned how to drive a manual transmission, and this is when my mom and dad were still married. My dad, she bought a VW Bug, and I think it was a 68, and this was in 73 or 74, something like that. And my dad drove her to the dealership, which was about half a mile away from their house, dropped her off and said, "See you at home." And that's how he taught her how to drive a manual.
Wow.
Yep. One of my favorite stories too.
Well, that's the way to do it. The baptism by fire, no doubt about it.
Well, it's throwing people in the pool to see if they can swim. Babies, that is. So if you, Bill, have you taught anyone to drive a manual transmission, whether it's
I did
or whatever? So who?
It was my son. I'm thinking he may have just had a learner's permit, and I used to work for a large OEM. I won't say names because John told me not to. And one of the company cars that I had a stick. And I said, "What time you learned how to drive a stick?" So I took him to the industrial park we had near our house one evening. So it was quiet, and trying to teach him how to drive it. And of course, popping the clutch, the rite of passage of stalling it out. He's getting frustrated. I'm trying to explain. I'm getting frustrated. And he finally said, "Why don't you get out of the car and let me try this on my own?" And voila, he did.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So I turned the car in and got a new clutch installed the next day, and then we were all good to go.
Because it needed one. So, Bill, my background, and part of it, Nick, as you know, is in automotive retail. So on more than one occasion, I agreed to teach someone to drive a manual transmission on the condition of making a sale. And so,
interesting.
And before I was married, they were often attractive young females, but that actually seemed to. I was actually pretty good at teaching people to drive, except when it came to my wife. And to this day, I still have not had much success. And it's not her; it's me trying to teach her to drive a manual transmission.
Strangely enough, I've had that same difficulty with my wife. I tried to teach her how to drive. Granted, I tried to teach her on a Jeep Wrangler, which is a little bit more difficult when you've got huge tires and stuff. But I can't. She doesn't know how to drive one to this day. I just can't. I can't figure out how to teach her how to do it.
Yeah,
but I'm the same way. I'm good at teaching other people how to do it.
Maybe we need to. Have you heard that wife swap show?
You've mentioned that before. I just really think you want to swap.
No.
Why do you want to swap so badly, John?
Because
I was going to say something about that.
Have you guys done it yet, Bill? He talks about it a lot.
No. He talks about it a lot. Yeah.
Maybe I need to talk to Lisa.
30 times. It's not that often. But maybe Nick, you could teach Lisa, and I could teach Jennifer how to drive a stick.
That's not actually a bad idea. We should try that. We'll think about that. It'll be part of their poddication.
Wow.
An episode full of poddyisms. I love it.
I'm going to tell Lisa that you'll probably be PoddiDusting in the car while you're teaching her. So I just dropped a little motivator for you, Lisa.
Why do you think I like Jeep so much? You can take the top off.
Oh. Yes. And the Jeep too, yes. I know.
And here it goes.
Oh my gosh.
Let's get back to
something that won't get us in trouble.
Redoing old vehicles. Exactly, won't get us in trouble with our wives. We'll get in trouble with everyone else, the SEC, government, police, but getting in trouble with our wives, that's dangerous. That would be,
So is this on a 10-second delay so you can edit it out?
No.
We don't edit.
Well, we don't go live. So you'll notice, Bill, in reality, there are a couple of pauses, and areas where we're maybe thinking of what we're going to say next. But when we actually play it back, you're not going to hear those because I'll edit that silence out to make it sound more like. That's why I think we're so funny, is because I can actually edit things closer and get the punchline to hit where it needs to rather than where it actually does.
So yeah, and Bill, I'm sure you'll say that when we're done. You know, they're not as funny live as I thought they'd be.
Oh, not true. Well, it always seems so seamless when I'm walking down the street laughing and neighbors are watching me.
It's definitely not seamless when we're recording. Well, actually, I do. In all seriousness, when we're in person, it flows a lot better. When we're when we're using this internet interaction, there are more spaces because there is a slight delay between what you're hearing and what we're actually saying. So I have more editing to do when we do it like this versus in person.
Well, and I refused when John invited me. I did not want this to be in person because you guys only seem to meet in hotel rooms.
I'm sure that's just a coincidence, Bill.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. I mean, we're working towards being able to meet in a small camper on the side of the road.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've been thinking about restoring some campers.
Hey.
Have you? Okay, let's get on that topic.
Yeah.
So now, but one thing that stuck out to me, and I want to get your feedback on this, was you only partially restore. So if you're going to partially restore a camper, does that mean you restore the inside but leave the outside looking like a pile of crap, or how does that work? Yeah, what is a partial restoration?
Yeah. So, well, with a camper, that would be completely different. To me, that's, when I say partial, I prefer not rebuilding engines or transmissions. I can do it, but I'd rather not. But I love painting cars. I love doing interiors. I'll do suspension work, just about everything but rebuilding motors. I've even done rust repair. Not my favorite thing to do, but there's a gal that lives probably about 5 miles south of me that is grown a reputation for converting or taking these older campers and trailers and gutting them and then kind of rebuilding them and pretty much turning them into little she sheds on wheels.
Nice.
And the family uses them to, they'll camp in them, and then she sells them because she gets bored with it and she moves on. And it got me to thinking that maybe that's something my wife and I can do, because she's pretty good with a sewing machine and I could do everything else. And then, a little family event and boom, make a little money.
I think that's awesome. And could you make them he sheds rather than she sheds though, Bill?
Well, of course. Of course.
That would be good.
And you might have 2 of your first customers right here, because I would much rather find something that's old and chic and have it redone, and because I don't have time to do it, nor do I have the skill. I would love to just give it to somebody and say, do it for me.
That would be, I think that'd be a great thing to do. What I'm really in search of now is a small warehouse where I can start doing these projects, because I recently retired about 6 weeks ago. So I've got a lot of time on my hands. I've rebuilt just about everything in the house that can be touched. And so I'm looking.
Well, congratulations, and I'm sorry.
I know. No, but it's great because John's probably told you I love these projects. I love building things, painting things, you name it. But I think trailers or campers could be a new thing, kind of fun, because you've seen these, a camper from the 70s or 80s. You open it up and it's like, whoa. First of all, the stench, but paneling, the carpet, shag carpet, the toilets, whatever. It's nasty.
But the good part is, Bill, no end, no transmission.
That's right. See, you were tracking to that. Perfect. So I think that could be pretty neat. Modernize it, get rid of some of the pressed wood stuff, and just make it something kind of different.
And then what you should do. And this is my digital marketing consulting brain going off here. Record it all and put it on YouTube and have another source of income.
Or maybe have a podcast.
Or both.
Yeah.
I know this fantastic pair of guys that have put together a really good podcast that actually have been helping other people start podcasts and YouTube channels. So I could get you in touch with them.
If you could give me their names, because it would be nice to get a different perspective.
Are these 2 guys bigger? Are these 2 guys bigger than we are?
In their heads, absolutely.
I don't know. How many fans do you really have, John?
I thought I talked about not bringing that up.
You said no names.
Yeah, we're avoiding names, John.
So
So the only thing I would say about, first of all, I love the idea, Bill, and Nick is right. We would totally ask for a big discount. But I think,
Well, the first one is free
I
because
think
that's my prototype.
then we will be happy to do that. It'd actually be a potty type. I don't know if
A potty type. Yeah. The potty type.
PoddiPod.
Wow.
That could be the PoddiPod on wheels.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you before, John, you go down that path. Nick, what
Yeah.
size trailer or camper? Because, are you looking for those big Airstream types? Are you looking for those vintage, short kind of
Nick,
bubbly looking?
before you answer, let me just
John
say
already knows my answer.
well, no, yeah, I do, but I want to add to Bill's question because Bill and I could actually work on closing sales together. And Nick, would you want to be something that you could pull using a standard straight 6 with a 3-in-the-tree transmission,
Yes.
1976 GMC pickup?
Well, so that's a very difficult question to answer because the thing I would want to pull with it or use to pull the trailer would have a straight 6 in it, but it might not have 3-in-the-tree. Exactly.
Probably be a Jeep,
Yeah,
right?
it would be a Jeep. Yep.
So you would be looking for a lighter weight trailer,
Yes,
correct?
a lighter weight
Yeah.
trailer. And here's one thing for now that we are looking at is we want something that'll fit in our garage. So something
There it
that's
is.
below 7 feet.
That's tough.
But it has to sleep 3. Yes, it's very tough. And I know we're
What
looking for a
about-
unicorn, but
No. Have you looked at those teardrop trailers?
we have, and that is something that we're considering. We're looking at, there's actually one teardrop that we found. It has everything we want, everything we need, except a second bed for our daughter. So if we can find something like that, and it has to have a bathroom, and we don't care if it's a wet bathroom, but it has to have its own bathroom. And we have found one. But we're looking for one, again, with the option of having a third bed in it, even if it's a bunk bed. And we haven't found one yet that has that.
Well, maybe a custom one would.
Maybe.
Potentially.
But the bathroom is that could be a deal breaker in a teardrop. I've not seen one with one, but you have?
Yes, we went to, I'm going to leave the name out of it, but a camping store here in Nashville, and they had one. They had one, and it was sitting in kind of a funky display where they had everything open, and it made
What
it
was
look
the
like someone
length,
was
Nick?
camping there. Maybe someone was, and we just don't know. It was 10 feet from the tongue all the way to the back.
Really?
It was 7.5 feet tall, which barely fits into the garage, but it would fit into our garage. And
well, honestly, you could, and let me just real quickly interject that you could make a 10-foot one work, but you'd have to back it into the garage really fast.
You mean 10 feet tall? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, that is very true. A master of the obvious, John.
So Nick, so this bathroom, could it be a Home Depot bucket with a toilet seat on it?
For me, yes. For my wife, no.
Okay. Well, I'm just
and toilets are optional.
So qualify your needs,
Right. Well, so here's the other need though, and this is kind of where we've looked at pop-ups, and I've considered a pop-up. I found some that are kind of neat that I like. None of them with a bathroom that is actually a separate room, but you could get a bathroom tent, which my wife said absolutely not. So pop-up was an option, isn't really an option. The reason I like the teardrop though is because this particular one actually had a table with 2 couches on either side that you could set up with microphones and a computer so you could call it the PoddiPod and actually use it as a podcasting
and therefore write it off.
Exactly. Because I am cheap too.
Well,
I don't know
too.
if you've heard that in the. Are you? See,
I call them
thrifty. We're very
thrifty.
Frugal
thrifty.
is what I like to use.
Frugal.
Yes. Yeah, that's because I've seen some plans where you can build them. I thought it'd be fun to build a teardrop trailer from scratch. Obviously not the platform. You could just get a utility trailer or something else and just start building on it. But those are usually built on a 5x8 platform. And that's before the tongue. So I'm not sure if that would work,
right.
But I'm just thinking that maybe there's something out there that could work for you.
Nick, would it be a possibility for your wife? Would she mind lying down in the restroom?
What?
Something tells me she would probably not like that.
Okay, so John, you brought up something that's been bothering me for years. So
Okay.
in an office setting, you have the men's room, the ladies' room. Sometimes late at night, you can dip into the ladies' room, and I did this because I heard rumor that they have lounge furniture in those places.
Yeah.
Is that true?
And did you find it to be true?
In one instance.
Of all the women's restrooms you've been in, you've only found that once?
I've only been in one, John.
Oh, I see.
Except for the one in Dallas, which was a total mistake, but that's a whole other story.
I can still hear
the signs can get confusing.
The reason I went down that path was John's talking about laying down to go to the bathroom, so I, put the two together.
Well done.
With the fainting couch in the bathroom.
Is that what that?
Did I share?
It's for
I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know.
You could have totally convinced me it was.
So I think I shared this once before, but if not, then I'm gonna, or if so, I'm gonna retell it anyways. But I was on one of the historic, partially refurbished trains here in Nashville for my daughter to take the Polar Express. Every year they have the Polar Express. You go and you have that experience. And we were sitting near the restrooms on this particular train, and my wife and daughter got up to go use the restroom. They came back and they were like, "Oh, that bathroom is so cool." And they have a separate men's and women's bathroom. "That bathroom's so cool. It's got a lounge area. It has a couch. It smells nice. It's clean. It's beautiful. And it's all restored. I bet your bathroom is just the same." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I got up, I went into the men's bathroom, and it was tiny, no couch, dirty as hell. And it was just pretty much just like a bathroom you would see on an airplane, and then metal walls and a metal sink with pretty much a bucket. Yeah. I mean, it was nasty. And I'm like, okay, maybe they didn't restore it. But then I went back and I was just in awe at their bathroom, because I took a peek in there just to see what it was. And sure enough, theirs was the Taj Mahal, and mine was a metal room with a bucket.
But
there
in their
it is.
defense,
it's confirmed.
In their defense, if you were going to, and you owned the train line or the train itself, and you were going to remodel a little bit at a time, you would definitely do the ladies' room first, because I know I would.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know who buys the tickets. Come on.
Or who might block the ticket sale,
or block
right?
it. That's better. That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm thinking of my wife, and she's like, "Well, how's the bathroom on there?" "Oh, I'm sure it's terrific. I want to see pictures."
Yeah.
Yes, because she knows you.
Yes.
So that's just good marketing.
It is good marketing for
sure. Did you say skid marketing?
Skid marketing.
Oh, and there we have it. Bill's other strength among his many is his ability and desire to speak and write in puns.
Oh no.
Bill.
So you're saying he's punny?
He is punny, hilariously punny.
Oh boy. Well, thank you for that. Most people do not believe that.
Not only do I believe it, I've witnessed it. He is very witty, and when there are funny things posted on Facebook, funny things, usually Bill is the one who's posted them or commented before I got a chance to.
Yeah. Well, I think that leads into another topic of social media in general, and people are too serious, and I've seen too many good friendships get ruined over a topic. That's why I try to keep it very light, and I like to share humor, so that maybe bring a smile to someone's face, or if nothing else, make me feel special. In my own little way.
Yeah, it's mostly eye rolling, but I'm sure some people smile.
Bill, you're very special to us.
Oh man, I love this. Do I still have to pay to be on this?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the check to clear, but
we're going to have to edit that out. We should edit that out, Nick.
Because I edit a lot of stuff out. I really do.
Of course you do.
Okay, I'll behave.
That's awesome. So, Bill, do you normally and I think I know the answer to this, but do you normally restore only one vehicle at a time, going back to that for a moment?
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. One, I use my garage in my house to do it, and so typically I work on it, then I move it over so that one of us can park in there. And secondly, because my wife says I can only do one at a time.
That's the most important part right there. Yep.
It sure is. You don't have a lift in the garage, do you?
Just four floor jacks.
That's okay. I was just going to be extraordinarily jealous if you actually had a hoist.
That's what the warehouse is for.
That's what the warehouse is going to be for. So when that time comes and it's an active search, I'm going to let this business grow organically, and I've already secured a domain name, which I'm not going to share right now, but I'm getting ready to take this thing public, or at least out of the shadows, and have some fun with it.
That's awesome.
How cool.
Yeah.
We're going to have you back when you're all set and up and running.
Oh, he'll even pay attention to us after he's successful beyond our
exactly.
dreams.
With his podcast and his YouTube channel, he'll be so famous. Exactly. He won't want to come onto the Little People's podcast.
I'm going to be the slumlord of vehicle restorations.
There's the name of the podcast.
Slumlord Restorations. I like that, actually.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Okay,
now he's thinking about buying the URL.
I thought I had a name. Now I'm not so sure. Or Slumdog Restoration, like Slumdog Restorations.
I think that's too close to Slumdog Millionaire.
It is not, and there you go. You had to make the connection, Nick. It could have been totally.
I had to throw some movie talk in there. I mean, you were so late to the podcast that Bill and I were already ankle deep in Ghostbuster trivia.
Ghostbusters 3? Come on. Ghostbusters 2 was terrible.
Well, I have Ghostbusters 1 playing in the background right now, and that's how we got on the conversation.
Constantly.
It happens.
Lisa and I had it playing in the background because it was our only video when we first, I think before we first got married.
Oh, really?
It was the only one we had, and we would truly watch it before cable got hooked up. We would watch it every night. And so, yeah, I've probably seen Ghostbusters 73 times.
Well, Bill might have you topped because Bill was telling me that Ghostbusters is one of his favorite movies of all time. Is that correct, Bill?
I don't know if I put that much emphasis on
it.
Way
to put words in his mouth.
No, but I was telling Nick, John, and you'll appreciate this because you know me. So when that came out, I would just graduate from college, and a couple of my buddies and I were invited to a Halloween party where you had to get dressed up. And so there's 3 of us. So what do? We went as Ghostbusters. You know, we bought these paper painting suits as the uniform, and I think I was Egon, and I have a friend that could be just a splitting image of Bill Murray in the way he looks, in the way he acts, in the goofiness, and he was perfect. And we went out and got these BB guns that ran off a Freon. They screw a Freon can on there and would normally shoot BBs. So we didn't put BBs in it, but we were shooting this Freon throughout this house all night long.
That is awesome.
A, we were funnier than hell because we were freezing people with it. But more importantly, we opened up a hole in the atmosphere with the ozone that was going up.
And it was all fun and games until the EPA showed up.
That's right. So when Nick talks about Ghostbusters, I have a good fond memory to draw from, and a lot of fun times and
there are so many little nuances in Ghostbusters. Unlike, Arthur was also one of my favorite movies, and
good movie.
Johnny Dangerously. Remember Johnny Dangerously?
Oh yeah.
No.
With Mike Keaton. Oh, you need to find that one if you can suffer through it. It's well worth it for the just the takeaways that you can use. But for instance, with Lisa and I, of course, have seen it the same number of times. So Ghostbusters, we'll do the grab a Snickers bar, and you've earned it. And so no matter what, there's a you've earned it when anytime I hand her anything.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's just one. Oh, come on. It's Murray handing
I'll have to watch it.
It was to Egon. You should know your character, Bill.
Oh, I was lost in Johnny Dangerously. Sorry.
Oh, Johnny Dangerously you have to see. Yes. It's pretty darn funny. But
thanks for busting me.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
See, the nice thing, Bill, is that people who are nice to me and ask for things to be edited out, I'll do that for them. Not for John, but I would for you.
Yeah, and here's what Bill would say.
Hey,
forget it. It's not worth it, Nick, to be nice to you.
Why don't we let Bill answer that, John?
Hey, I'm just happy to be here, so you do whatever you need to do.
Nice. What? He's a genius. I told you.
You did?
What are you talking about?
Wow, nice pause. Way to go. Yeah.
Most pauses are just because I'm trying to figure out a witty comeback. I'm not as quick in real life, Bill. I think we kind of went over that earlier.
I know.
No,
when
so
you
let me-
edit this, you're going to lengthen that pause. I'm guessing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, if I may, I would like to interview or ask you guys a question. I know I've listened to all your podcasts, but I never really remember or heard how you two met
Well, Nick, go ahead.
Do you want to take this one, John?
and how you
Nick,
came up with this idea.
You want to tell the truth, or do you want to use the story that we've practiced?
Well, I want to hear the story we practiced because I don't remember, but I think you're probably better at the truth than I am.
The truth. You can't handle the truth. Well, we work together. We actually work for the same company, Bill, and you know the company. We work on the same OEM team within
Yeah.
that company, and it's kind of an odd thing because we had certainly, I guess, crossed each paths over time, but we had
Knew of
never
each
really,
other.
connected overtly. And he said one day, "Hey, what would you think about doing a podcast?" I said, "Sure." I guess. I mean, what does it entail? And Nick has done, and to his vast credit, has done all of the technical work on this. So literally all I need to do, you heard what I said, literally.
Yeah, I did. I heard it. I was going to comment on that.
Is sit my ass
I was going to
down
say, I know, right?
in front of my computer and
Nice.
talk and then he tells me when to shut up, and I do. And he does all the posting, he does the website, he does everything. Oh, and he takes in all the money too that comes in on Patreon. But
Hey, we split the proceeds evenly because 0 of 0 is 0.
Well, at least it's had.
I do need to fill in a couple of gaps, Bill, because he is leaving a few things out. I didn't just look at him and say, "Hey, let's go do a podcast." He and one of our other listeners, who actually is our client, they were having a conversation. They were actually doing a presentation together, and they were having a lot of fun doing it, and they were getting a lot of good feedback. And I looked at them both and said, "You guys should do a podcast." And that was around the time John and I were starting to get to know each other a lot better. And then over another, I don't know, 6 months, 5 to 6 months, John and I would have meetings together, and we would start having conversations back and forth and bantering, and people were just really enjoying our banter. And that's when we got the idea, based on some suggestions from other people, that we actually do a podcast together.
I like my
Perfect.
story better.
Perfect. That's I had assumed it came down like that, and that's great because it really happened organically. It wasn't like you're trying to force it.
Right. Now, if you listen to our
Yeah.
first few episodes, it does, I think, sound a little bit more forced because we didn't know what we were doing. So we were trying to make something out of it that it really wasn't. And then as we got into it a little bit more, we just decided to, forget about topic ideas, for example, and let's just talk and kind of be exactly what people were enjoying in the first place. And I think that's kind of where we are today. I hope, at least.
I think we just stopped caring. We don't give
we
a
really,
shit.
yeah, we don't. Wow, he swore before I did. Did
Yeah.
anyone else catch that?
Yeah, he
I'm
did.
sure this will be the one that my
And I've been
mom-
really careful myself too. So
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
fuck
Bill,
it. Swear all you
actually,
want.
Bill has quite a mouth, and he'll do, suddenly before you know it, he's saying something about poopy pants, and it's disgusting.
I really would like to know, maybe someone's done a study already, how many people in the auto industry don't swear? Because I think that's probably a smaller number than the ones that actually do. And swear like sailors.
Yeah, 6 people.
oh yeah, and it's obviously when you're in a meeting you do that for emphasis, but you've got to be careful. Like I typically don't like to do that on a day-to-day basis, but I will tell you, I've been in a meeting or two where all of a sudden you just let it fly, and people are like, "Whoa, I guess he's serious."
Right. Well, and so on a serious note, and I think it is kind of funny, and I heard this from another podcast that I listened to, and I wholeheartedly agree with this idea, this concept. With my daughter, who's about to be 9, she'll be 9 in September, we talk about bad words, as I think most parents do, and not to say bad words and so on and so forth. Well, I've changed that from saying don't say bad words. I say these are power words, and I'd rather you not use them. But if you ever feel you do, just realize that it's used for emphasis. It's used for it's a power that you need to use sparingly. And if you feel you need to use it, by all means, use it. Just don't do it at school. but make sure that you have it in the right context. Of course, I put it in more 8-9-year-old terms than context and stuff like that. But I look at it like that. They're power words, and they should be used sparingly, but there's no reason not to use them.
Well, like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility.
That's right.
See what I mean?
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
If I had to add that in. Okay.
I love it.
You might want to edit that out because that one didn't flow.
No, it did flow perfectly. I was actually going to say I just watched Endgame yesterday.
I have not. Don't tell me anything about it.
I won't tell you. I won't tell you at all.
Well, that's a good story about the origins of the potty mouth, and it's about what I expected. But you never know with Quaddy. It could have taken a weird turn.
That's
I resemble that.
I know you do.
Now we have to switch his business card from, and shit went downhill from there to, Quaddy.
And now we run. John, does Nick know that joke?
No, and it's
Okay.
more of a story than a joke, as you know, Bill. It's the story behind it is way funnier than the joke. Bill.
Okay.
Well, Bill, do you need to tell the story, because we already know John's going to screw it up?
I just remember the punchline, and we for a number of years in my old employment, we did these cross country training events. You typically 17 cities,
Yes.
and this is how I met John as well. And I think it's a couple of years John would open his session with this particular story, and I'd be in the back of the room laughing, probably the only one laughing who got it, but. It's kind of how I got endeared to John, but only John can do it justice, and I'm trying to buy him enough time so he can remember what the story is to tell.
Oh, no, I remember it, and it's nice of you to buy the time. So you have to get you didn't emphasize the 17 cities enough. It was actually the first year or the second year was like 22 cities. And to Bill's point, right. I'm doing the same presentation in every city. So if I open up with a joke in city 1, I open up with the same joke in city number 5. And so I laugh at my own jokes, as I'm sure many of our fans know, because I'm constantly laughing at really hilarious stuff that I say. And Bill, thank you, Nick. Bill,
that was Bill. I'm not laughing at you right now.
Sorry.
Now I am.
Bill, my friend, you're a dick.
Wow. And there it is. It only took 50 minutes for John to get there, but he's just totally blown it.
So the whole story was, and I'll tell it, was there's an old gentleman, and he walked out on his porch, and he looked across the street, and he saw this little boy. And this boy's maybe 4 or 5 years old. And it's the cutest thing ever. The old man is witnessing this little boy stretching and jumping, attempting to ring the doorbell on the house kind of kitty corner down the street. And he, the old man, looks at him and smiles to himself. And this boy is just stretching and jumping, and he just can't get to the doorbell. So the old man, in a grandfatherly way, crossed the street, and he walked over and he said, "Hey, little man." He said, "It looks like you're having some trouble there." He said, "I could sure use some help, mister." So he walked over and he lifted him up, and sure enough, and he helped the little boy press the doorbell, and he pressed the doorbell, and then the man set him down and he said, "Now what, little man?" And the boy goes, "Now we run."
That is a good joke.
Nick, if you liked it that time, think about it if you would have liked it the 22nd time I just told the same joke.
Well, and I was trying to think how it really helped.
Now we run.
Yeah. How did it launch the event that day? I guess your point was, and now we run, folks. But it was, I don't know. It just kind of tickled my funny bone. It still does.
I like it. No, I probably would have laughed every single time. Knowing me, it would have gotten funnier as it got older.
Well, maybe it did, but only because
it's pretty sad though, Nick, when the only guy laughing is the guy in the back of the room.
In the back of the room who happened to be the client, so I was fine.
That's all that really matters at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
That's right.
So, Bill, we need to wrap this up pretty soon, but I'm curious. You asked how John and I met. How did you and John meet?
Wow.
Well, it was one of those events. The first one is I came on the team, and these things have been going on for a couple years before that. 2011, John, maybe.
That sounds about right.
I was, we were going out as a group dinner, and everyone told me about this great guy, John Quaddy. You're gonna love him, Bill. He's got a great sense of humor, and of course, I'm thinking, great competition for my jokes, right? So, was it a barbecue joint in St. Louis? I think, John. I don't know, something like that. And I sat down across from John, and we just both started laughing about stuff. And I thought, this is a good guy. And I just, from there, it was instant. Like, I think we hit it off. At least I hit it off with John, and for years we've stayed in touch and laughed at things. And I just thoroughly enjoy him. He's a great human being, and obviously, if he's thinking the same way about you, Nick, then you're my friend too now. So John's
I appreciate
a great guy.
that.
I love John to death, and would do anything for him.
Well, first thing I need to do is become your friend on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then before we go,
need to buy a 1976 GMC pickup.
Right, and then pick out a camper to pull it with, right?
Yes.
Or pull something pull the camper behind it. Yes. You know what I'm saying.
Just for the record,
you mean what I know.
Just for the record, I did not come on here to sell this 1976 GMC pickup with low miles.
And I know you're not trying to come on here to sell that, but if someone wanted to buy it, where would they need to go to see or get more information about it?
Oh my goodness, Facebook Marketplace is one of my favorite places to buy and sell vehicles, and I have done the Craigslist listing. They now charge you for it, by the way, which was a shock for me.
Oh, really?
And
that is kind of
a
shock.
And I have every kind of scam. If you ever look at Craigslist, and I know you're trying to wrap up, but there's a little thing that says about avoiding scams. Read that, because every one of these jokers that tries to pull them must go down that list. Well, I will send you a Western Union, and I'll, I need to send a representative to look at it, and he will have my full response. And I'm like, oh my God, please not now.
So, and Bill, I know I keep saying that we're wrapping it up. Have you ever heard the term a Minnesota goodbye?
Nope.
It might be the same as a Michigan goodbye. Okay. I don't know, but a Minnesota goodbye is when you start saying goodbye about an hour before you leave, because you keep getting caught up in other conversations. That's pretty much the epitome of the PoddiMouths podcast. We only plan to talk for 30 minutes. That's how long our episodes are supposed to be.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, like it's you.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, right. No, not you at all. Essence of the PoddiMouths. It's the Poddy Minute.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, I know. I was going to say Poddy 30 minutes, but that just didn't roll off the tongue like Poddy Minute.
No,
sorry.
No.
Oh well. So we can find out more information on Facebook. Are there any other places that if people wanted to become your friend or learn a little bit more about you that you want to share? Any other places online, or when they want to find out about your new business that you have restoring or partially restoring vehicles and campers?
I like Instagram for that stuff. Instagram is my more serious social media outlet where I'll just share the kind of the cool things that are going on. Usually that involves the different steps to my restorations, and oddly enough, my handle is Taylor Restoration.
Very nice. Very nice. So at Taylor Restorations on Instagram. Yep. We're going to follow you from our Instagram account, which is at PoddiMouths. We will post this and other information, especially when Bill launches his new business, on our Facebook page at facebook.com/PoddiMouths. And you'll also see information on Twitter at MouthsPoddy. If you want to support our endeavor and help us get some more guests on, and including getting Bill back at some point, especially after he
and a trailer
and the PoddiPod. Think about donating at our what's that place called, John? I forgot it already. Patreon. That's right. Become a patron on Patreon. And I'm sure, Bill, you're probably going to set one of those up too, right? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Maybe.
And we will actually post hopefully some videos here pretty soon on our YouTube page. We kind of slacked off on that, like I didn't have any time, but slacking is what I do best.
Whatever.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you all for listening. Bill, thank you so much for being a guest on this episode of PoddiMouths.
Thank you for having me,
man.
We hope we get to have you back soon.
I would love it. Thank you.
And I will constantly have the vision of you running with your headphones on, creeping out other people as they watch you laugh at PoddiMouths.
That's not the way I painted this picture, but okay, John.
Thanks, Bill.
Oh.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.